Today, we're going to break down a brand new paper from Psychology and Marketing that gets into a huge challenge for pretty much every modern brand. Why is going green in your advertising so tricky? Let's get into it. You've been there, right? You put in all this work, you craft this amazing message about your sustainability efforts, and crickets. Or even worse, people get skeptical. It's incredibly frustrating. Well, it turns out you are definitely not alone. The impact of these green messages is all over the place, and this new research finally explains why. So, the key to this whole puzzle is something called the persuasion knowledge model. The easiest way to think about it is that we all have a built-in ad detector. When we see a marketing message, we don't just passively accept it. We analyze it, we question it, and if it feels a little too slick or just off, that detector starts blaring and we feel skepticism instead of trust. Okay, so to figure out what sets off that alarm, the researchers started with a really basic but crucial factor: the type of product you're actually selling. Because as you'll see, not all products are created equal in a consumer's mind. The paper really breaks it down into three simple categories. First, you've got search goods. Think of clothes. You can touch the fabric, check the quality, really evaluate it before you buy. Then there are experience goods, like booking a vacation. You don't really know how good it is until after you've used it. And then there's the really tricky one, credence goods. This is stuff like financial advice, where it's super hard to judge the quality even after you've paid for it. So the first study in the paper came back with a really clear finding. When you're talking about products that people can actually check for themselves, either before or after they buy them, adding a sustainability message gives a serious boost to how much they trust that ad. And this chart just shows it all perfectly. Look at the bars for search and experience goods. Bam! Trust shoots way up when you add that green message. But then look over at credence goods. The bar is almost totally flat. And it makes sense, right? If a consumer can't even be sure about your main service, how on earth are they supposed to verify a complex sustainability claim on top of that? Their ad detector just stays on high alert. Okay, so product type is the first piece of the puzzle, but the researchers found there's another crucial layer here. Where you decide to say your message is just as important as what you're selling. This is a question that marketers are wrestling with all the time. We kind of assume that newer digital channels are always the way to go. But when it comes to sustainability, well, the answer is a lot more complicated. Now check this out. For those simple, verifiable products or search goods like clothing, digital media absolutely crushes it. A sustainability claim on social media builds way more trust. And that's probably because you've got things like peer reviews and comments that make the claim feel more transparent, more real. But watch what happens when we switch over to credence goods, those complex services that are hard to verify. The results completely flip. Here, traditional media like a print ad is way more effective. Why? Because the authority and professionalism of traditional media give more credibility to a claim that consumers can't easily check for themselves. The big takeaway here is that context is everything. And this leads us to the third and maybe the most surprising finding from this whole paper. The researchers added this fascinating twist. What happens when you pit a well-known real brand against a totally made-up fictitious one? I mean, common sense says that a familiar brand name is always a good thing, right? People know you, maybe they already trust you, but in the world of green marketing, that very familiarity can actually work against you. The results here were just wild. For search and credence goods, it was the fictitious brands that actually benefited more from sustainability claims. Without any brand history or baggage, consumers just looked at the message itself. But the real brands, they faced more skepticism, more worries about greenwashing. The only place where real brands had a clear win was with experience goods, where their established reputation for being reliable actually helped make the sustainability claim more believable. So, after going through all this complexity, what do you actually do with this information? Well, the paper boils all these findings down into a really clear strategic playbook for anyone trying to make their green message actually land. It really comes down to three simple but super powerful steps. First, you have to analyze your product. Is it easy or hard for your customer to verify what you're saying? Second, pick the right media for that product. Go digital to build transparency for simple stuff, and use traditional media to build authority for the complex stuff. And third, be really honest about your brand. If you're new, you can lean into a bold green message. But if you're an established player, you have to be extra careful that your claims line up with your reputation, or you risk some serious backlash. And all of this leaves us with one final big idea to think about. This persuasion knowledge model, it shows us that skepticism isn't just people being cynical. It's a defense mechanism. So the real goal shouldn't be to find clever tricks to get around that shield. The goal should be to build such genuine, verifiable trust that your customers feel like they can lower the shield on their own. The authors say it perfectly. The success of any green message comes down to getting that alignment right between your product, your media, and your brand. If you want to really get into the details, I cannot recommend the full paper enough. Thanks for diving into this with me.